weeks ago until the release of Prince Caspian. Merry Christmas, a few days late. It was a crazy busy Christmas for me. I didn't really have time to post a video, even though there have been a couple little interesting bits of news, nothing really big, but a couple, interesting tidbits. I have to admit there was a brief stretch there where I wasn't as focused on Prince Caspian as I was on a different movie I was really excited about. But back in Narnia now, never stray that far away from Narnia. Like I said, a couple little interesting bits, like Narnia.com has been updated, whole new look, so head over to Narnia.com, check it out. Nothing like big breaking news, but there's some cool stuff there. There's more new crew members for the Dawn Treader, and Jim Riegel, who did the effects on Lord of the Rings, one of the people who did the effects on Lord of the Rings will be doing it for Dawn Treader, which is neat. The one that interests me the most is Dante Spinati, if that's how you say it. He'll be the director of photography for Voyage of the Dawn Treader, and I always think one of the best, most effective ways to kind of change the mood or the feel of films is the cinematography, and it's just interesting. And all the Narnia books are, obviously have kind of slightly different feels, and some are darker than others and stuff, and so 3 Narnia films, 3 different cinematographers. Just interesting. I have to admit, my first reaction was a little bit disappointed, just because the cinematography I've seen in Prince Caspian looks so brilliant and light years ahead of what Don McAlpine did in Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe. I know I haven't seen the film yet, but so I was like, oh, I wanted that guy to do Dawn Treader too. But we'll see what this guy does. And so I just think that's interesting. That 3 Narnia movies, 3 different cinematographers. Probably just a scheduling thing. They're probably not just trying to create a new feel, But then A.C. Smith-Sinden will be back as the costume designer, which is, all right. Overall, been quite pleased with her work in Wardrobe, and especially Prince Caspian that we've seen. So I'm definitely really glad that she's going to be back. Then there's a new audio interview with Ben Barnes, at NarniaWeb.com has the link to that. And nothing all that new in it. He tells a funny story about how he got in a car wreck when he found out that he got the roles for something, which is pretty funny. But the most interesting part is he does some of his accent. We finally get to hear him say something besides "I'm Prince Caspian," and it's once again pretty much just as he described. It's kind of an English intonation, but it's it's got a Spanish thing going on at the same time.
What's the final accent sound like?
Well, it sort of sounds a little bit Spanish, but it's a little bit rounder as well,
And, a couple of my friends have come to me and actually said, they saw the trailer, like, what's up with Caspian's Penelope Cruz accent? And I'm kind of trying to explain it to him, and I just wonder, maybe for me, I understand the whole concept of the Telmarines kind of being, a little Spanish and from pirates and all that. What about a regular moviegoer? Are they going to be like, what's up with the weird accent, But what I heard, I thought sounded like, it took me, about half a second to realize, oh, he's doing the accent right now. It wasn't like he was a sudden jump. And so I don't think it's terribly distracting. I mean, obviously I'll be thinking about it and analyzing it because, we've heard so much about it. But I think in general there probably won't be a big distraction. But that is something I'm kind of worried about, is how, it's, I guess, a couple clips, that's one thing. But over the course of a 2-hour movie, is the little weird Spanish accent, or I'm not even going to try to do it, is it going to be distracting? But so far, what little we've heard, I like it. We'll see the movie. There's a simply abominable picture online of the White Witch on the set of Prince Caspian. Like, if I was there, I would have chased her out with a stick. Tilda Swinton, I mean. And pretty amazing that they got Tilda Swinton on set, like, as part of the cast and everything, and no one found out. I saw something in Prague, but like I never saw anything of Tilda Swinton. Just amazing they got her on set, and no one found out about it until pretty late. So that's just the fact that she actually had to be on set. I always imagine her shooting all this from a green screen stage, and it's like, how far have they gone? I hate the whole White Witch thing. It just brings back so many, like the Green Goblin, kind of, like I've said this before, and obviously it's a huge change to Caspian's character as far as his participation. And by the way, I don't remember if I noticed if I pointed this out in my other video, but there appears to be blood on Caspian's hand when he's reaching out to the witch, part of the ritual, perhaps. That's kind of it's getting a little bit out of hand here. That's what Caspian, black sorcery and the calling up of an accursed ghost, as Caspian says in the book. And so I'm very uncomfortable with this whole thing. I just think it's so stupid. I just hope they don't go any further with it than what we've seen. If she takes one footstep out of that little ice thing, I'm going to be mad. But anyway, the most interesting bit of news, I think, over the last couple weeks have been some of the new movie tie-in book covers that have come out. And as expected, just like the Wardrobe ones, as far as artwork, they're pretty bad. But as far as like what the movie's going to be like, let's take a look at that. New wide shot of the Trumpkin and the 4 kids in the boat, which is neat. Overall, I like the outdoor scenery better in this one than Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe. It just seems more appropriate. I think a little closer to how I imagine Narnia and Prince Caspian, at least. Caspian's fighting a Telmarine soldier on horseback. There's a picture of that. Then there's one like where I just wonder, are they trying to screw with me? There's one where it's just Caspian and Susan. They're not. It's not like they're not kissing or anything. It's not like a sex scene or anything. But why do they have to have Caspian and Susan in the same picture? Of all the characters they could have chosen to be together, why Caspian and Susan? Just, you're enjoying this, aren't you, Disney? You know, and it might mean nothing, but still. I bet they're having fun. The puzzle book gives our first official look at Glumstorm. We'd seen an action figure before, but this is kind of our first real look at Glumstorm, who I saw on set. And I know I've said this before, but I love the idea of Glumstorm being black, and I like the actor they got to play him. I just like it fits into the whole Stargazer thing, I think, really well. Glumstorm's always been one of my favorite secondary characters in the book. And Lewis is really, all its characters are really memorable. But it's really interesting how Lewis, he has, even some of the background characters are like, you just remember that guy, even though he only has a few lines, like Tumnus. You know, Tumnus only has, you know, like 2 scenes, The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe, brief scenes, and yet he's one of the most memorable characters in the entire series. You know, Lewis is so great with characters and dialogue. The most interesting thing by far that comes out of these is a book called The Tale of Reep, kind of a play on words, so punny. But the Reep they show in this one, I think, looks pretty neat. He's got the feather, which I love. You know, Lewis describes, and I like that little strap that goes across there, and he's got his rapier. And this is obviously an early design. Like you can obviously tell by the fact that his sword was, you know, doesn't look anything like the sword that we've seen recently that I love so much. So this is obviously a very early design. The little spec picture we saw before of just the action figure, you couldn't really see it well, but it looked like Reep was going to be, you know, mostly white with some like brown peaches color on his back, almost like a hamster. But this picture here, I mean, you can't analyze it too closely and take a judgment from it because this is very early artwork when they're just kind of tossing around ideas basically and trying to get, well, it's just a concept. That's all it is, a concept. And but overall, I like this concept of Reep. I like, like I said, the strap that goes across there and the sword, and his fur has got a little bit of white just to kind of bring it to life a little bit on screen, but still got kind of, it evokes the Pauline Baines illustration enough for me, and I look at that and say, yeah, that's Reep. Whereas when I saw that stuffed animal on set, where Reep was mostly white, it took me a few seconds to realize who it was. It was like, oh, there's Shuffle Hunter, and oh, who's that? And I had to think about it for a second and go, oh, tell me that's not Reep, you know? This one I see it and go, yeah, I can see Reep in there. Obviously, no one really in the movie is exactly how I pictured them, but like Ben Barnes, even though he's not at all how I imagine Caspian in the book, there's just something about him where I say, you know, I can accept for 2 hours that Ben Barnes is Caspian, you know, and that's all I ask of an adaptation. Just so Reep, I look at that Reep and I could accept for 2 hours that that's Reep, you know. The Reep I saw on set, the little stuffed animal, and the action figure we're seeing, I can't accept that that's Reep, even though Eddie Izzard, I think, is going to be fantastic as the voice. I really hope that the final Reep design is closer to this than the action figure, even though the action figure is just a little, you know, speck. But 140 days to go. That's pretty much all the big news that's out right now. Actually, let me check word on the street real fast, just to make sure I haven't missed anything. The Hobbit's coming out the same year as Voyage of the Dawn Treader, and so it'll be cool to see, you know, kind of a little Tolkien and Lewis in the same year, which will be pretty neat, and so that's kind of cool. I saw the Prince Caspian trailer on the big screen at I Am Legend, so that was cool to see it on the big screen. But that's pretty much it. 140 days to go. New Year's coming, just in case I don't do another video over the next, you know, week or so. Happy New Year, and it'll be pretty cool to enter the same year that Prince Caspian is going to be released in. And so late Merry Christmas and Happy New Year.